Today, we're going to break down the massive, and I mean massive, gap between the promise of a college degree and the crushing financial reality that millions are facing. So let's just dive right in.
Just picture this for a second. You did everything you were supposed to do. You got the degree, you landed the job that required it, and now here you are, sitting in your car, staring at your phone, doing that anxious mental math, just trying to figure out if you can afford groceries after your loan payment goes through. This isn't some made-up scenario. For so many graduates, this is just Tuesday.
Yeah, because this feeling, right, this knot in your stomach, it's a universe away from those glossy brochures showing happy students tossing their graduation caps in the air. Somewhere between your high school guidance counselor's office and this Target parking lot, the story completely changed.
So let's talk about that story. Let's really look at the promise that's sold to millions of 17-year-olds versus the actual price they end up paying, sometimes for decades.
You know the pitch. We've all heard it, right? It's drilled into us practically from birth. College is an investment. The debt is good debt. It's presented not as a choice, but as the only legitimate path to a successful life. Questioning it is like questioning gravity.
But here's the receipt, and what's wild about these numbers is just the scale. We're not talking about a car loan here. For a private school, you're looking at the price of a house in a huge chunk of the country. And when you get to schools like USC, you are paying Lamborghini prices for an education, often for lectures you could probably find for free online. And when you add up all those individual price tags, you get this number: $1.75 trillion. That is the total student loan debt in the United States. To try and wrap your head around that, it's more than the entire economic output of Australia, the whole country.
But this isn't just some abstract number on a screen, you know? It translates into a real, heavy anchor that can literally hold a person down for decades. Let's take a look at what that actually feels like day to day.
So let's meet Alex. Her story is a stand-in for millions of people out there. She did everything right. She got a practical degree, she landed a quote-unquote good job, and now she's staring down the barrel of a $730 payment every single month for the next 20 years.
And this just perfectly illustrates the squeeze. Look at how quickly her take-home pay just evaporates. The student loan payment comes right off the top, even before rent. By the time you cover the absolute bare essentials, Alex is left with less than $500 for everything else. Savings, an emergency, retirement, even just having a social life, it all has to come from that tiny little sliver.
Now let's zoom out. This isn't just about one tight month. This is about a life deferred. For 2 decades, this debt dictates every single major decision. While our friends are buying homes, building equity, getting married, Alex is spending half of her adult life just paying for 4 years of school. That's not an investment, that's a 20-year anchor.
So you have to ask, how did we get here? How did college costs explode into the stratosphere while the wages for graduates basically flatlined? Well, it wasn't an accident. Let's look at the mechanics of how this machine broke.
It really boils down to 3 main drivers that created this perfect storm. It's about how universities are run, how they compete with each other, and critically, how the government decided to pay for it all.
First up, administrative bloat. I mean, this chart says it all, doesn't it? Universities started hiring bureaucrats and administrators more than twice as fast as they hired actual teachers. All those salaries have to be paid for by tuition, but they're not exactly improving the education Alex got. Second, you've got the amenities arms race. To attract all those students with access to easy loan money, universities stopped competing on price or even educational quality. Instead, they started competing on perks. We are talking about things like LSU building a 500-foot-long lazy river for its students, or USC dropping $700 million on a neo-Gothic village. Your debt is paying for their resort.
And this is the absolute key to the whole puzzle. When the government guarantees that any 18-year-old can borrow almost unlimited amounts of money, universities have zero, and I mean zero, incentive to control their costs. Why would they? They can just raise tuition year after year to capture all that free-flowing federal aid. They're not in the education business anymore, they're in the subsidy harvesting business.
Okay, but what if Alex had never signed those loan papers? What if she'd chosen one of those other paths? You know, the ones we're always told are less than a 4-year degree.
Let's just look at the raw numbers here. The comparison is staggering. An electrician starts their career with a higher salary, at a tiny fraction of the cost, and with zero debt. Think about that for a second. They spend 4 years earning money, while Alex was spending 4 years accumulating a mountain of debt. The math? It's just undeniable.
We always hear that statistic, right?
Oh, but college grads earn 75% more over a lifetime. The reality is, well, it's a lot messier. A decade after they graduate, almost half of them are underemployed. That means they're working jobs that don't even require the expensive degree they took on all that debt for. They're stuck with the anchor, but without the high-paying job they were promised. So the big takeaway from all this isn't that college is always bad. It's that we have to stop treating it like some automatic default next step. We have to start treating it like any other major financial decision. You have to do the real, brutal math.
And that starts with asking this very simple question. Not just the tuition on the website, but the total, all-in cost over 4 or 5 years. That includes the wages you're losing by not being in the workforce.
Next, what is the real return on that investment? Don't look at the university's shiny marketing materials. Dig up the real data. What are graduates from your specific program actually earning 1 year out, 5 years out, 10 years out?
And finally, maybe the most important question of them all, what's the opportunity cost? What else could you do with that $250,000 and 4 years of your life? Could you become a master electrician, a software developer? Could you start your own business?
Because when you see someone like Alex drowning in debt, it is so easy to think that the system failed her. But the really uncomfortable truth is that it didn't fail at all. The system worked perfectly to transfer a huge amount of wealth from her, the student, to the institutions. And that really leaves us with one final thought. Who is this system actually built to serve?